factor for Adrian Morley, coming home for the birth of his son. And Warrington hoping to head home with the points here. At the moment, they are in the box seat, ahead by 18 points to 6, and some great sights over this weekend, and one of them during the half-time interval after yesterday's really fiery game. Oh, that's a dreadful start to the second half for the Salford City Reds as they concede the dropout right from the kickoff. And they just stood and watched, and nobody made the decision.
What's amazing is that none of the three players seem to be able to get close to the ball. I mean, it must have been a fantastic kickoff. The speed to kick that ball 60 metres so quickly, dissect all three defenders.
The third time they'll have dropped out under their own posts, the Salford City Reds, so they have been really made to work hard. But the sights you've seen included after yesterday's game, Rovers and Hull FC fans with their arms draped round each other's shoulders, sharing a drink, and I think that probably just sums up the weekend. There's been great camaraderie among the supporters. Not such at the moment out there on the field. There are points at stake, and Warrington mean to get them. They haven't seen that many in recent weeks. Likevol. And they're immediately trying to put pressure on Salford, who conceded that goal line dropout. Gleeson having to adjust to take that ball. Lost a little bit of momentum. Farfili, the try scorer, wants another one for Salford defenders there to stop him. McGuinness in there for the Reds. Breers now, what trickery is he going to come up with? He went for the post then, I'm sure of it, but Hodgson read his mind. Gravian trying to get away.
Well, a team of Warrington players going through here for what they thought was going to be the try. Saw Vinnie Anderson being one of them, but it was important. Hodgson, like a goalkeeper, had to be right in the right place.
Well, if Salford wants some consolation, probably at half-time, the point that Carl Harrison might have made was that on the Easter game, when they lost eventually to Warrington, they were trailing with about 7 minutes to go, and they scored 3 tries in the last 8 minutes to almost nick the game.
That was a peculiar game up until the 60-minute mark, very, very tight. And the last quarter just opened up so many tries, free-flowing. In fact, 5 tries in the final 10 minutes of that match. 2 for Warrington and then 3 late ones for Salford. So don't be surprised again if we see some late scores. But Warrington are hoping that it's not going to be another nervous finish, that they can put this game to bed in the next 20 minutes.
Well, that kick under pressure from David Hodgson went straight to Richie Barnett, so immediately Warrington are back on the attack and just over the halfway line, and 2 tackles gone. Here is Chris Likevol doing what he does best, just tearing it up the middle. Morley was the dummy runner. Clark finds Breers. Breers finds Gleeson trying to put the step on Luke Robinson, gets the ball away to Breers. Breers, there was a hand in there from Bertazen. It was played at, and it's back to 6, says Ben Thaler. Bertazen got a hand to it. Morley, short ball to Vinnie Anderson. Anderson out of the tackle to Gleeson. Gleeson to Reardon. Reardon, the gap's opening up. Reardon has support. He's not going to need it. Oh, he gets there in the end. Or does he? Richard Silverwood, the video ref. First call to action.
He can do it on his own.
Now then, momentum.
I think that is a double movement, but maybe if he'd have kept his arm tucked in, the slide and the slip and the moisture on the surface may have got him over anyway. But it's difficult when you're in a situation like that to be disciplined and keep the ball tucked in.
I think the referee had a natural tendency to disallow this try, Bill.
Well, it's Richard Silverwood who has the job. Did Andy Brocklehurst do enough? No. And Reardon with the try. Second of the season. And a great build-up from the Warrington Wolves. And of course, a former Salford player loaned to them from the Bradford Bulls at one point.
Well, tackling people just around the legs anymore, he's not good enough in rugby league. You have to cover the ball, because it's been the offloads in this set of possession that have caused so much trouble. But as a line breaker and a dangerous runner with the ball, there are a few better than Stuart Reardon. I'm not so sure whether they've had the benefit of the doubt on the final try. They certainly, you see the offload, keeping the ball alive, getting their arms free in the tackle, and it was a problem for Salford in the first half. It's continued through to the second. Reardon, strong player, deceptively quick, scores the first try of the second half.
And Breers successful with the kick. So Reardon gets his second Super League try of the season. That's third in all. And he's got the cuts and bruises as well to show it, but it's put Warrington even further ahead here, and it's beginning to resemble a mountain that the Salford City Reds have got to climb, and that Super League table is going to start to look pretty daunting as well.
It is that you don't want to be down there losing the points in big games like this, but they're the sort of runs you like off Adrian Morley. When you stood on the back line and the opposition's kicking off to you, you want to pick out the man who you're going to run at, and you're going to run at him with some power like Adrian Morley does.
Westwood. And Warrington immediately coming forward again, and Salford really struggling to stem the tide here. You've got to remember Coley, Alka, who is one of the top tacklers in the competition down the seasons. Paul Heighton missing as well. Three big influential figures.
They are missing some great plays for him.
They're missing some tackles as well. Brent Gross ghosting through. He's got support. Is he going to find it? Almost Breers to the try line, but it's on the last now. Salford desperately numbering up, but they're all over the place, and then Clark went for the little grubber kick, and they get away with it to the Salford City Reds. They survive when it looked as though they were going to concede again.
A relief for Salford, they're on the line broken, and you have to compliment the Reds. They managed to scramble back in numbers. They are simply hanging on for their lives in this match at the moment. 24 points to 6, still in the game. A further score for Warrington, and it's almost over.
4 tackles gone in this set of 6, and 17 missed tackles is going to hurt you.
And it's not just the missed tackles, it's the offloads as well that are starting to hurt. Effecting a tackle nowadays is no longer simply tackling a man around the legs and stopping his progress. You have to stop the ball as well.
Dawn desperately clearing his lines. Let's just get this ball up the field and finding a touch and enabling the side as he does, just to take a breath.
But isn't that the difference, though? That the teams that coming off the line, Salford are only making 20-30 yards at a time, whereas Warrington are going 100 metres.
That's probably a good indication of the first 6.5 minutes. Warrington have just been so enthusiastic, and the second phase rugby with the offloads and bodies in motion, just tremendous to watch.
Well, as the players form the scrum, let's go down to the sidelines and get some news from Ben Pro.
Well, the main news at half-time, Bill, is the injuries to Paul Johnson, who is suffering a little bit of concussion, and Ian Sibbett, who still has that left foot, the problem with that left foot. Talking to the coaching staff at the break, Paul Derbyshire stressing that Paul Cullen has said we should cut out the offloads because they're letting Salford back into the game, whereas Carl Harrison's words were very simple. They have to believe in themselves. Just a note as well on the footwear. We saw Rob Burrow at half-time ahead of Leeds and Bradford later on. He was taking a look at the greasy conditions on the pitch. Well, Salford noticed yesterday's greasy conditions, and they deliberately chose studs over blades for today's match. Warrington has stuck with their original footwear, and it's Warrington's policy that's paying off at the moment.
It's the footwear of Vinnie Anderson involved there with that kick, and he's hoping for a 40-20. Almost made it as well. Hodgson across, though. And Salford again having to dig themselves out of a hole. Gravy N with the spade at the moment, and it's fallen back in on top of him.
It has, hasn't it, with 4 men to make it a harder climb.
Struggling now, the Salford City Reds. Robinson saw the gap, he's through it. This is a spark of inspiration. He's got support outside him. The ball was forward. Kevin McGuinness was there, and Robinson just cannot believe it, and David Bertazem tries to console him, but...
Well, success in Super League is about converting chances into tries. You know, if you watch a game, both teams will get opportunities to score, but it's always the winning one that takes more of them. Salford's stretched the Warrington defence there, and in doing so, it allowed Robinson to get on the outside of his opponent, went through the hole. I suppose Wilshere was the pass he had to try and find on the inside. Well, it's another chance gone. He was their top try assistant last season, Luke Robinson, having a hand in 20 of their tries, and he could have had a hand in there, but was this the old thing of
of passing from right to left as opposed to left to right. Was that the problem, maybe?
That would have been his favoured side, Bill. I think he just slipped into Dan Marino mode there. I think he thought he was playing for the Miami Dolphins.
Well, they could have done with that, could the Salford City Reds. Instead, they find Westwood again challenging their defence. The third tackle made by Robinson. Now here's Rahihi back on to rumble up the middle for the Warrington Wolves, who lead by 24 points to 6, looking to climb up the table. Breers, a step and a switcher pass, and the Gleesons involved. Martin, then Mark. Mark tackled. Martin then from the play the ball. Anderson hoisting the kick. Gray Vian under pressure from Barnett. Vian does well to survive the pressure. Well, he's lost the ball. Referee waves play on, looks to the touch judge, play continues.
Well, again, Salford now need to play hot, they need to play quick in possession, up the tempo when they have the ball, and try and control the tempo of Warrington and the ruck speed when they don't. That's the difference again between these sides. They're stretching the Warrington defence, trying to make them spread the full width of the field and find some holes with footwork.
I think what's happening there, Phil, they're having no joy going at the tight three defenders at Warrington, so Luke's noticing that and he's trying to get on the outside of him.
Well, he couldn't go anywhere that time. He's tackled by Martin Gleeson. So Bertezen, the on-loan hooker from the Catalan Dragons, puts the kick in, but it's not a good one. And Reardon running straight back at the heart of the Salford defence, tackled on the halfway line in the end by Finnegan and Dawn. Finnegan, Warrington-born, raised in Australia, playing then against his hometown club. 40 metres out now in the Salford half.
And the Reds need to find a way to hang on in this game.
Hanging on there to Lightfall. Warrington know that they could put this game to bed with another try here. And Gleeson, sniping run from him. Rahihi. Gleeson, Martin Gleeson for the try line. Oh, so simple for the Warrington Wolves. And that was more to the liking of the coach Paul Cullen and the Warrington supporters. And Martin Gleeson, third try of the season, and that could really knock the stuffing out of this Salford City Red side. It was just a bit ominously simple, and the 30th try in 72 games for the Warrington Wolves for Martin Gleeson.
Warrington look to have tried to get Martin Gleeson more involved in this game. It's the third time in the second half that he's had a one-on-one situation with Luke Robinson. He's going to be too strong for him and too quick, and it carries him over the line. It's a difficult defensive play here. Salford are already stretched, they're slightly retreating, and their goal line defence this year hasn't been their strongest point. It's another one that's cost them a 4-pointer.
That man, Paul Rahihi, in at first receiver again. There was great movement from dummy half. Picked up the ball, ran with it, and Rahihi. I love to see forwards passing the ball. I can't stand it when forwards are just cannon fodder, just banging it up and banging it up. And there's definitely a need for it.
Well, it's a difficult angle and a fair distance for Lee Breers, who hasn't brought his kicking boots with him to Cardiff. And he's missed again. Hangs his head, and a wry smile from Breers, but plenty for Warrington to smile about. 28-6 now.
Well, you can see here the Salford defenders are all running towards the sideline. When you have a defensive line shifting outside, it's perfect for Martin Gleeson. It's exactly what he wants. Players running to the side, and he'll then step inside. Steps, shows, and goes.
£200,000 man, Martin Gleeson, when he moved from St Helens to Warrington, and a Challenge Cup winner against Wigan here in 2004. Looks like being a winner with the Warrington Wolves here this afternoon at Millennium Magic. Still more magic to come. Leeds and Bradford ahead.
Two drives are on the 40-metre line. That's a worrying sign for Salford. They need to contain Warrington and Warrington's power.
Paul Johnson took a knock. He's back on. Edmondson back on for Lee Jewett. Here's Lightfall. Breers is just irrepressible. He's in back play, wagging his finger, pointing where the ball's going to go, where play's going, where they're aiming for. Now he's got his hand up. He's the conductor. Get up, says Ben Thaler on the last. Puts the kick in. Well, that didn't work quite according to the script, although it did, because they've got another set of 6.
I'm not sure about that. Billy didn't know anything about that. The hooker, it hit him smack in the face.
Mark Gleeson. Breers just pops the ball up to Martin Gleeson. He'll get a rapid-fire second of the game. Oh, and it's all going horribly wrong for the Salford City Reds. It's all going great guns for the Warrington Wolves. Their drought is going to come to an end. They've lost the last 4 in Super League, and Carl Harrison's misery is going to continue. And Martin Gleeson, really, that was a stroll in for him. But Salford will wonder about the second set of 6 there. Were they hard done by?
Well, the forward dominance now is starting to pay off. There's the arm thrown up perhaps to challenge the ball, so the referee deems that it was played up by Bertezen. And then following that, well, this lovely short pass, the combination between Breers and Gleeson has always been a dangerous, important one for Warrington. And it's a further 6 points here, I feel. Easy try. He just comes short, doesn't he? Changes the angle, puts him 12 between on the outside of Brocklehurst, and it's a lazy and rather tired arm that's thrown in an attempt to stop Gleeson. It can't stop the Warrington momentum right now.
When you watch the play again, I think the Salford defenders think that Lee Breers is passing the ball behind the man, and the money ball is the one that's going behind Gleeson, but he just gives that short pass a good line, and Gleeson one-on-one, he's going to beat you every time.
And the kick, well, Ben Westwood's been handed the kicking duties, and it's bang in front of the posts. That was very generous of Lee Breers. He'd been having a horrible afternoon with the boot. The first one he gets right in front of the posts, he hands to Ben Westwood, and Westwood succeeds, and Warrington ahead by 34 points to 6.
Well, you can see here again, it's what Salford want. Not what they don't want, rather. Running towards the sideline, body's facing the other side of the field, and then Gleeson can choose whether he takes him on the outside or steps back in the inside. Makes it look very easy with those dancing feet.
Well, Martin Gleeson used to have a great line in celebrations, but he's obviously calmed down a bit. Just glad to get over the try line, and he has done twice.
Let's see these next couple of sets of 6 here now. How many yards and how many metres that the Warrington players make, and then how many metres that the Salford players make when they're returning the kick. And Warrington are always getting the ball, is in good ball and attacking straight away.
It was very interesting then, the Salford players all in a huddle. The water carry-on message bringer had them all in, and whether he was geeing them up, I think they need geeing up.
Well, there's plenty of enthusiasm in the defence at the moment as Warrington look to bring the ball out from inside their own 20. And Rauhihi the latest. 4 tackles gone, and they're doing well to restrict them at the moment. So here's Richie Barnett. Tackled by Korkidas and Bertezen. And Breers now will put the kick in. It's wide open spaces here at the Millennium Stadium. 40-20s have been hard to come by. I'm not sure if we've had one so far in Millennium Magic this weekend.
Hold!
But here is Wilshire now, up against his former club.
2! Clear!
Driven back towards his own try line. Littler. 3 tackles gone. Bertezen, Robinson, Dawn shifts the ball on, and Barnett just clutches it out of the sky. Oh. And that sums up Salford's afternoon, and the second intercept try for the Warrington Wolves, and Richie Barnett, a stroll in for second try of the season for the winger, and handed to him on a plate. And the Salford City Reds concede another try, and Barnett's had to wait for a while for that try, back to the start of the season.
Well, you have to have some sympathy for a side that are attempting to play good rugby, move the ball wide and score themselves. And the sympathy, though, doesn't help here with the scoreboard, because that's going to tick the wrong way as Barnett puts the ball down. And it's all going wrong for Salford. They're working hard, they're trying their utmost to get back into the game, but it won't do any good because Barnett goes over now for another Warrington try, and the scoreboard's starting to tell a very sad story.
It's a story that's going to end with the Salford City Reds rooted to the bottom of the Super League table, and Hull Kingston Rovers just opening up a bit of a gap ahead of them, and pressure mounting on the Reds. And Ben Westwood has the kicking duties again. And Warrington, well, they've come through their fallow period without a win in the last 4, and they're going to bounce back in some style emphatically here. And they haven't finished yet. Westwood missing with that one. 38 points to 6 now, Warrington lead against the Salford City Reds. And while Richie Barnett was celebrating his try in his 9th consecutive appearance behind the try line, David Hodgson in vain was telling his players, keep your heads up. How do you keep your heads up in a situation like this?
It's very tough when you're at the bottom of the Super League, and you just see the body language of the Salford Reds now. It's a lonely place to be at the bottom when things are going against you, and stopping the rot in the team. And there's a lot of play, there's a lot of class in the Salford team. They've just got to believe in themselves.
Vinnie Anderson just snatching that ball and going away. There's a chasing pack of Reds after him, but will he get all the way? And Anderson opening the gap. Dawn is chasing him under the post. What a try for Vinnie Anderson, the second of the game. The stand-in, stand-off has just rubbed wounds in those, salt in those red wounds. And that was Vinnie Anderson's second of the game, and plenty to smile about from him. Taking him up to 5 for the season, and enjoying life since his move from St Helens.
Well, it goes from bad to worse, doesn't it? It's a kick-off by Hodgson. Barnett takes on the line, and it's the same old story. Get in the arm tree, that's a wonderful catch, never mind the run here. And he has the one most important quality for any sportsman: speed. Because if you get the ball and you're quick, you can always cause trouble. It's the second week in succession that he's scored a try that is almost the length of the field, and there are very few players can do that. He's running with the ball under one arm. The advantage is always with the defensive chasers, but they can't get close to him, and he's made the Warrington fans who've travelled all the way to Cardiff very, very happy indeed.
He's made Ben Westwood happy, giving him a conversion right in front of the posts, and a rapid-fire volley of tries from this Warrington side, putting them 44 points to 6 ahead. And Vinnie Anderson at standoff has made life miserable for Carl Harrison, if it wasn't miserable enough already. Chris Bridge out with an ankle injury. He's going to struggle to get back into this side the way Anderson's playing.
When you look at the way Warrington have played for the last hour, it's absolutely amazing that they're not in the top 6, let alone the top 3 or 4 places. They have so many talented and quality players, but they don't seem to have shown the consistency over the first half of this season. And yet they are a multi-talented team.
But Paul Cullen suggesting before the game when we spoke to him that they haven't had those talented players on the field at the same time. They have now.
I think that could be an excuse from Warrington. They have a very strong squad of players. They have some good young players coming through, and they can't feel sorry for themselves about the injuries. Every team and squad have injuries throughout the course of the season. Whether Breers or Anderson or Bridge plays at half-back, they need to find some consistency in performance. There's a mistake by Westwood. Has he lost possession there in the tackle?
Yes, he has, according to Ben Thaler. Well spotted. Westwood looking a little hard done by.
Stay on, in we go.
Meanwhile, the next in the ring, the Bradford Bulls and the Leeds Rhinos, and Terry Newton getting ready. Oh dear.
Come properly, please.
That's an ominous sight, isn't it?
Move, stay, get it in, get it in.
The gloves will be off very shortly for that one. Hodgson just trying to inspire the side. Let's get some consolation out there. Gareth Haggerty back after injury. They'll need Coley back, they'll need Heighton back, and they'll need Malcolm Alka back.
Look at the defence and urgency that the Warrington line are showing. Lee Bray's going to the scrum, urging all his players to come on, don't let them concede a try.
The kick from Robinson, Reardon across. Brocklehurst there to bring him down in the end.
Yeah. Hold it, hold! Go.
Farfili among the try scorers then in this Warrington romp. Well, it's turning into a romp.
Clear!
And there's plenty of time left for some more romping. 17 minutes to go.
Some more what, Bill?
3! Move!
Romping.
Luke, get your hands out!
Johnson
4!
recovered from that knock.
Come on, come on!
Mark Gleeson. Ben Harrison off the bench, the youngster, 19 years old. Recalled from a loan spell at Widnes because of this injury crisis. Play on, says Ben Thaler. Warrington fans appealing for the penalty.
Speculative kick by Breers. They're in a position where they can begin to try things like that. Hodgson won't give it up, and I think the positive things for Carl Harrison and the Salford supporters who've come here today is that their team are still trying. They're in this fighting, and all they need is a good month. There are a few months left in this season, and they have to continue their belief. Edmondson now taking it forward. They've been out-muscled in the middle of the field, and if you lose the battle in the middle of the field, it's very rare that you'll go on to win the game.
It becomes a habit though, Phil, when you're losing, and when you're at the bottom of that table, it's very hard to come up with the goods and come up with a win.
Good chase from Luke Dawn, and Luke Dawn won't give this one up. Barnett beating to him across the field towards the corner, and Henry Farfili having to force that one dead. That was sort of a goal line clearance from Richie Barnett.
Well, Dawn takes it to the line, chipping over. Again, I still think the spirit here now being shown by Salford. How they're playing the next 15 minutes might just tell you whether this Salford Red side will survive in Super League.
Now, I'll tell you when.
Do you know you'll see the spirit, Phil, is when they're defending. They're seeing if they're winning the grapple, if they're winning the wrestling, the tackle, if they're winning the line speed. And that's where they've let themselves down today.
But all the defending they've had to do, Tez, has sapped that energy, and it's very difficult to start doing it with 15 minutes to go.
Ready? Right, I'm ready this time. Go on. Stay on!
So a goal line dropout, a rarity for the Salford City Reds this afternoon. They've missed 21 tackles now. He's creeping up. Edmondson allowed to get to his feet, make a few more yards until he runs into Paul Rauhihi.
Hold it, hold it, hold it!
Betterzen. Brocklehurst now.
2! Come on! Stop holding, just come again. Push it back this time.
Now here's Luke Robinson trying to pull the strings for the Salford City Reds. Luke Dawn, McGuinness under pressure from Richie Barnett, who was up like a flash and tackles him with the aid of Vinnie Anderson on the 20-metre line.
That was a good spot from Barnett. He was in trouble. There was 2-3 men outside, and he made the decision and effected the tackle. Well done.
Finnegan lost that ball, and it was stolen in the tackle, says Ben Thaler. So Salford get Salford get the penalty. They're going to get a talking to as well. I think something happened in the tackle, and Ben Thaler has called Ben Westwood across.
Hey, you both know
and Gareth Haggerty.
I don't know this. Just be quiet, just be quiet. I don't know this rubbish once the ball's gone. Ben, never mind asking nothing. I'm telling you now. Get on with the game, and when the ball's gone, get away from the go.
And so the young referee, Ben Thaler, laying down the law.
Go.
And Salford with the penalty. David Bertezen screams, "Come on!" before he taps that ball.
Good tackle. Well done, Ben. Move, mate. Come on. Line.
Haggerty. Bertezen. Robinson across the field, then drops it back in field for Littler. Still going, the Salford centre.
Move!
2 tackles gone. Here's Robinson once more. Robinson hoped for the gap as Anderson moved up, but Warrington held their line. Gravian now, McGuinness. Swamped by the Wolves defenders at the moment, but they're keeping this ball alive and keeping it alive well. Luke Adamson, 3 tackles gone. Salford just hoping to salvage some pride here now. Dawn. And Dawn to Robinson. Robinson closed down by Breers, but Salford get the penalty, and Breers got there very quickly, too quickly, says Ben Thaler, and another penalty for Salford. Robinson hoping to catch Warrington cold and poach a try himself, but pinned to the ground by Rauhihi. Edmondson now. Edmondson out the back door to Hodgson, and Hodgson struggling for footing on this pitch. Betterzen. Luke Dawn. Dawn for McGuinness. McGuinness will get there. and something for the Salford City Reds to cheer about. Sympathetic applause as well from other fans around the ground. But sympathy ain't going to do you much good down at the foot of the table. Kevin McGuinness getting his second try of the season.
Sympathy won't do you much good, Bill, but brilliant footwork and a desire to go on and score whenever you have a chance, Will, and that's what Salford had right here.
Well, he's got a great record in Australia, Kevin McGuinness. He struggled to establish himself over here. Only 9 tries in 56 appearances now since coming here.
When he gets the ball, there's very little on, isn't there? But the footwork's amazing here. Warrington haven't had to do that much defending on their own line. But when they haven't had the answer to McGuinness. He skipped away from the first man, fended off Anderson with his left arm, and then managed to get over. Look, bouncing back to get with his teammates. There's still hope for the Reds.
And John Wilshere with the conversion attempt. He has been in good kicking form since assuming the duties, and he's landed that one. And Salford have got 12 points on the board now, but their opponents have a formidable 44, which is surely too distant for them, even though the last time they met there was that remarkable comeback that nearly won them the game. You can't see that happening now. Salford fans not giving this one up.
Isn't that great
from
to
up
see?
the road, yeah.
Isn't that great to see? We keep mentioning all the different clubs, the different shirts, all getting behind the entertainment and the rugby league that's on show. Fantastic.
Breers goes for the short restart, and it's come up for the Salford City Reds, and they're away.
What a tackle.
Adamson it was, and he's managed to stay in the field of play. Finnegan, Bertazen, Edmondson, they've got numbers. Brocklehurst is one of them, and they'll get another try, or will they?
I want you to go back there.
And Ben Thaler wants to see whether Luke Adamson did go into touch.
Just go back down there.
If he did, Andy Brocklehurst will be denied. I said there wasn't time for a remarkable comeback, but...
Just to explain why the touch judge is so far behind, it's because he'd been on the dead ball line waiting for the long kick-off from Lee Breers. It was a short one this time. Now, from that angle, it doesn't appear as though his feet, well, we can't tell from there whether his feet touch the floor. By the time he gets them on the ground, they're back in the field of play. And the touch judge, you'd have to imagine, he was 20 metres behind, but he didn't indicate with his flag in the air.
Well, this might show it better. Reardon with a great tackle. Those are Reardon's feet sliding into touch. Adamson is keeping his off the ground at the moment. Touch judge arriving on the scene. Adamson, if he's managed to keep his feet off the ground there, he's a contortionist.
It's a great play, isn't it? And that's got to be a try. It has to be for Salford. None of the Warrington players. Reardon didn't think that he'd rolled out of play. He never made any comment or objection.
And Brocklehurst is awarded the try. And Luke Adamson's run was the catalyst for it. Well, 2 tries in a couple of minutes for the Salford City Reds. And Lee Breers just a little bit cocky there. Tried the short restart. Didn't need to. Snaffled by Adamson. And Brocklehurst was on the end of it to score the try. His second of the season.
Well, there was nothing wrong at all with the short kickoff. That was an excellent play and a dangerous one for Adamson to deal with. The problem was Warrington's defence wasn't up to it. And once you make a break down one side of the field, well, the best place to shift it is straight across to the other. The defence stretched, good skill by Salford, and this will certainly help their confidence.
And 2 more points from John Wilshere will help their confidence as well. And he's kicked that one. Magnificent conversion from Wilshere. 18:44, doesn't look so bad for Salford City Reds, but it's bad enough.
Luke Adamson there showed great strength and great core strength to stop getting pushed into touch by Stuart Reardon, who's a great defender. And it was good to see Paul Rahihi there chasing over the field with 72 minutes gone, covering on the wing.
The fullback Stuart Reid made that tackle, and often the fullback is the last line of defence, and because he made the tackle on the far touchline, it was inevitable that he couldn't get to the opposite end and make that tackle.
Pooh, Haggerty hit to the ground there. Well, that restart went long from Warrington, and maybe the signal went out, don't mess around with this one. Hodgson, Robinson, Finnegan. Salford at least hoping to end this game on a positive note. Still 8 minutes left. Well, they scored 3 tries in the last 8 minutes of the previous game. Now that would really put the cat among the pigeons.
Still wouldn't put them in front though, would it? 44 points to 18.
As players,
just got there.
As players, they're going to be very upset. Like, the way they finished the game tremendously well, and with a lot of urgency that they've needed.
That kick from Hodgson going to go dead. He's disgusted with himself, hoping it would stay in the field of play. Here's Rob Parker. Experienced the satisfaction of winning Challenge Cup final here with the Bradford Bulls against Leeds. And he's going to be a winner again on the winning side with the Warrington Wolves here in Cardiff. In fact, they won their last time in South Wales when they beat the London Broncos in Newport in 2000. So they've not got a bad record in South Wales, the Warrington Wolves.
They've gone back to doing what they did successfully in the first quarter of the game. Simple, strong carries down the middle, get the team rolling forward, and then maybe look to shift.
John Clark. Gleeson, another step from Gleeson. Clark on the inside. And they're on for 50 points here with the conversion to come as Clark dots it down underneath the posts. And again, a really fluent move from the Warrington Wolves, and John Clark with the try, his 5th of the season. And he has Gleeson to thank for that. And he's been around as John Clark, but he's probably in the best form of his career at the moment. A lot of responsibility on his shoulders.
Well, when Martin Gleeson's in form, you probably need 2 defenders at the very least to handle him. He steps back inside Luke Robinson, and by the time the cover comes, it's an easy and open run for John Clark through to the line. The more often that Warrington can get possession to Martin Gleeson in a good situation, I think the more often they're going to hurt their opponents and score points. He's the big go-to player, very often delivers when he has to do, and he's delivered a 4-point try for John Clark.
John Clark with try number 10 for the Warrington Wolves. And I think the kicking duties have reverted to Lee Breers, and who succeeded with that conversion. So 50 points up for Warrington Wolves, 50-18 the scoreline here. They're going to be winners. All right, Rugby League will be a winner this weekend.
You see again Luke Robinson's circle running towards the sideline. It makes it a very, very difficult tackle, because whichever way he steps, once he steps inside, loses his momentum, loses his feet, and they lose a further 4 points on the scoreboard.
I think the fact that the ball went dead in the previous Salford play had a big bearing on that. They were handling the arm wrestle, as it's called, which is the to-in and throw-in of fast, effective sets, and the breaking play was probably the thing that Warrington needed to organise things.
Warrington on the attack again. Here's Rauhihi. Breers trying to wrong foot Robinson westward. Breers back on the inside. Hodgson tackles him. 3 tackles gone. He's trying to rip the ball from his grasp, is Hodgson. Clark, Mark Gleeson, Ben Harrison, an England Academy International, the 19-year-old. Going down the short side with Vinnie Anderson. Oh, great hands. Well, has he got a second? No try. Great defence.
What
to come
skill
up with
there from
defence
Vinnie
like
Anderson.
that, but what defence at this stage of the game? A lost cause.
McGuinness's heart is still in this, isn't it? And the Salford have a heart and soul to fight on. That's a great play. 50 points already on the scoreboard, and they're doing everything possible, throwing the body in the corner there to prevent a further try.
Carl Harrison's got to look at that instead of looking at what's gone wrong maybe in the game. Say, that's a positive that you can take out of this.
I think I'd look back to Huddersfield Giants' start to the season, and if they'd learn a lesson, it's that if you hang on in there, continue to do the right things, eventually a win will come along. On the back of that, things can turn around. They only need a good month, and in the Super League at the moment, with the close competition we have, they could very often find themselves closer to the playoffs than they can to relegation with 4 good wins.
Gareth Haggerty trying to beat people with his footwork there. I think he needs to get deep and run onto the ball and follow the things that Warrington have been doing.
Barnett just put a foot out to stop that kick. Well, Salford conceding 50 points for the second successive week. Beaten by Wigan heavily last weekend, beaten here today.
They really want to get technically looking at their performances. It's the third quarter of the game, the period after half-time. They were competitive with Wigan for the first 40 and then blown away in that third quarter. So I think the start, when they come out after half-times, they probably will work on and have a major focus.
A knock on there by Warrington. Great atmosphere again in this stadium, and a lot of people have put a lot of hard work into this weekend to making it effective, to making it the enjoyable event it has been. And it all started on Friday night at Bridgend, of course, with the Celtic Oldham game. Must say a word about Gerald McCarthy, the Celtic Crusaders general manager, who put so much hard work into it. He tore chest muscles and had to be taken to hospital, although the word from Alan Bateman is that it was just indigestion and he ate too many pies. But Gerald certainly had to go to hospital, and that is real dedication. Meanwhile, here comes Salford, and that ball knocked down into touch and played at by the Warrington player. And Salford will get head and feed at the scrum. Lee Breers still disputing things even at this late stage in the game. He really is a jack-in-the-box. Got his critics, and of course there are those who'd have him in a Great Britain side in a flash.
His kicking game and his skill and the way he reads the game is fantastic, Lee Breers, and it always has been.
Again, Barnett. Oh, Barnett's tackle dislodged the ball from McGuinness, and if Brent Gross could have gathered that, well, they could have been in for another one.
Defensively, he's played very well, Richie Barnett, and he's seeing the long ball always on and coming in, knows that he's got speed to get in and close down the attackers.
He's made that decision a few times and been right every time. And just going back to Lee Breers, he knows every trick in the book, Lee Breers, and gets them out on a regular basis. And like Tez mentioned before, we saw some of his testimonial committee who asked us to remind people to support him during this year. And he's a popular guy, Breers, I'm sure they will.
Well, the clock counting down, heading for the last minute of this one. And it's an emphatic victory for the Warrington Wolves, ending their losing sequence, having lost the last 4. While Salford will continue at the bottom of the table, looking up at the nearest neighbours, Hull Kingston Rovers. And Warrington, in the last minute of the game, hoping maybe to just rack up another try, the 11th of the game. Mark Gleeson straight up the middle. This is Warrington's first 50-pointer since last Easter, when they hammered the Castleford Tigers as they were heading for relegation. Ominous that for the Salford City Reds. And that really sums up the game, that right at the end, Warrington chasing them down, conceding, forcing them to concede the goal line dropout. John Wilshire pinned. There won't be time. The hooter will sound, and Warrington will celebrate. Their supporters here in big numbers in South Wales are celebrating. And it's Salford who need commiserating. Never really at the races, this one. And it got further and further away from them as the game went on. And Warrington, the big winners of the weekend, by 50 points to 18. And David Hodgson, well, put his body on the line as usual, but has been to no avail.